Wilma read a chapter from Psalms, and actual fact it leads into my message. So I know I've got the right word for tonight.
Amen. Praise God.
But I'm just going to read from Psalm 91. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For it is he who delivers you from the snare of the trapper and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you may seek refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and bulwark. You will not be afraid of the terror by night, or of the arrows that fly by day, or the pestilence that stalks in darkness, or the destruction that lays waste at noon. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not approach you. You will only look on with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked. For you have made the Lord my refuge, even in the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil will befall you, nor will any plague come near your tent. For he will give his angels charge concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. And they will bear you up in their hands, that you do not strike your foot against the stone. And then I go to verse 15. He will call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honour him with a long life. I will satisfy him and let him see my salvation. I think that's a wonderful psalm, and we can rest assured that he has our interest at heart, and he will take care of us. And if we abide in him, then he will do his part on our lives. He'll keep us safe. I've given a title to this message, and it's Rise Up as the Eagle. You know, I have said before that we can learn many lessons from nature, and one of these is from the eagle. The bald eagle in North America is a majestic and powerful bird. And once when we were in America, we went up to the north of America, and we stood by the Mississippi River, and we saw everybody looking in the distance. So we looked up, and there was an eagle. It was flying in the sky, huge bird. And it was a wonderful sight, just to see this bird gliding so effortlessly on the thermals of the sky. It was a wonderful sight, you know, to see that. And when I thought about the eagle, one thing that I've come across is that an eagle soars above a storm. It doesn't stay in the storm clouds. When you think about that, how wise that bird is. He looks down on the storm. He doesn't fly in the storm. When difficulties come our way, what do? In Isaiah 40 it says, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like the eagle." And so we will soar and rise up like the eagle. We'll run and not grow weary. We can rise above our difficulties as we come into his presence. As some of you, I think, have testified. I don't know what you were saying, but I get the gist sometimes, that you have had difficulties and you rise above them. We can rise above our difficulties as we come into his presence. He lifts us up above our circumstances as we draw on his resources. He gives power to the powerless hope to the hopeless, because he is our eternal hope. He is our strength. He gives strength to the weak and healing to the sick, on which some of you have proved that God is our mighty healer. Jesus can meet our every need. Can you imagine that we can look down on our circumstances as we rise above the storm clouds of our difficulties? We can find shelter in times of storm. We read in Mark 4 that the disciples were in a boat on the Sea of Galilee when a storm arose, and the disciples were afraid. I think I would be afraid too. You know, water coming into the boat in a storm. You know, to be out there in the sea, and you know, we live near the sea, so you know, we know a bit what it's about when there's storms. And Jesus was asleep in the boat, and they woke him and said, "Don't you care that we perish?" And Jesus stilled the storm. The disciples said, "Who is this that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Just before this incident, he had ministered to a crowd and to the disciples, teaching them in parables. Then he said to the disciples, "Let's go over to the other side." And so they went by boat, and that's where they were. They'd been with him as he healed the sick, the lame. They'd seen him perform mighty miracles. They knew what he could do, and now he was able to still the storm. But you know, they were still afraid. Although they'd seen those mighty miracles and saw what he could do, they were still afraid. You see, it's the same Jesus before the storm. Yeah. The one that did the miracles is the same Jesus in the storm, and is the same Jesus after the storm. He hadn't changed, but they had. And I think so often that's how we are. We know what he can do, and we've seen his mighty miracles, but it's learning to trust him. He's still the same Jesus. He hasn't changed. But they'd taken their eyes off Jesus and saw the storm only. And that's exactly what we do. Often we take our eyes off Jesus and place them on our difficulties. I know that I've done that many times when I have felt overwhelmed by circumstances. But you see, Jesus was in control. He stilled the storm, and so he is in control of our lives. They arrived back safely on the other side. The disciples were focused on their circumstances. They were led by their feelings and not on Jesus. Although they had seen him do mighty miracles. And as I thought about that, I thought, how do we cope when difficulties arise? Sometimes it may feel like facing a storm in life and can feel overpowering. How do we cope? Do we go under? Or do we put our trust in God? Or do we put our trust in others? He is our deliverer. He's always here with us. Your life can soar with joy and purpose as our life is in his hands. He makes the difference. We can find peace in the storm. He's there, as I said before the storm and afterwards. But when we need him most, he's right there in the middle. Another time when the disciples again were in a boat, Jesus appeared before them, walking on the sea. And the disciples were afraid. He revealed himself to them, telling them not to be afraid, but to take courage. Peter said, "If it's you, Lord, bid me come to you." And he said, "Come." And Peter got out of the boat and started to walk towards Jesus. However, Seeing the wind and the waves, he became afraid and started to sink. And he cried out to Jesus to save him. Jesus stretched out his hand and rescued him and brought him safely to the boat. He didn't say to Peter, well, get yourself back. He was there and lifted him and put him in the boat, helped him into the boat. And he doesn't desert us either. When we need him most, we can cry out to him, and he stretches out his hand and lifts it up. God can take a desert situation and work a miracle where you are in your life. He hasn't forgotten you. He is perfecting you, preparing you for what he has prepared for you. In Proverbs 3 verse 5 it states, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths." So if you want direction in your life, then lean upon him, because he is the one that will lead you safely home. If you've gone through various circumstances, then we can understand more and have compassion and deep feeling for others in their time of need.